Good evening. It's Nisi, Shanice, Darlene, Coach Nisi. And tonight I want to open my show with saying something that someone talked about recently. Ripples in a lake. I have decided that I love my life like I love you to the lake and back. She said, you know how you throw a rock in the river and you can see the ripples. She said that's how life is, like on a lake of just ripples. And this week, I have loved my life to the lake of ripples and back because I really got to see the layers of myself expand. Tonight, my guest is Miss Geraldine Mama G Alshami. And I have had the honor and the privilege of getting to know a woman that has really opened my eyes to see my own life in a new light in a short period of time. And I meet a lot of people, and I appreciate the impact of so many wonderful, wonderful men and women and children on my life. But I have a motto now. I've really been looking at my life as it expands. I have to keep the children in mind. And Miss Geraldine this week has said to me so many times, Nisi, I've been doing this work for 47 years, which means it's been all of my life. And I'm really excited that the ripples of my life are now expanding with someone who had been doing ripples with so many people that I'm starting to get to know. And because of her experiences, I'm also getting to know myself. And so at this time, I would like to bring what I'm going to call the ripple effect onto the stage, into the studio, Miss Geraldine Mama G Alshami.
Wow, girl. I was waiting for that lady so I could see her. And thank you.
Woo!
Thank you so much. Thank you
I
so
love you
much.
to the lake and back. The ripple effect.
And I love you mucho, mucho more.
And you know, Miss Geraldine, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And welcome to your studio, the audience out there tonight. God bless you. Thank you for being here. And I don't, for each one of you who's going to view this, you know, send in love, be kind. Thank
Oh,
you, Nisi.
Miss Geraldine, you are very welcome. I speak to you tonight with a voice of confidence. I hear myself.
All right, now that's what I'm talking about. That's what we call growth.
Because I can get on this box, and I don't always know who will appear, if you will. And I have been working on code switching less because the work needs my consistency.
Mhm.
The vibration of my voice needs to start to be less sentimental and more substance based. And I've been really honestly and truly reaching out to people who elevate at a vibration higher than me. And I appreciate that journey because you would have had a whole lot more work to do had you met me even about 2 weeks ago. And, Mhm. And let me tell you something. It was easier for me to tap into the core of who I am. Respect your elders. That
Okay.
came out a lot this week. I don't know everything, and I have an opportunity to be better. That's what I feel when I'm with you. I know your heart is so pure. And so if you can just um tell the audience who you are, but I had to first tell you who you've been to me.
Mm, wow. Well, I tell you what you do for me. You do validate that the work is not in vain, and that gives me strength to keep going. So I just want to say first, thank you for that, and don't ever take that to be something light. You know, um, I'm hearing some things from the people that I've been advocating for that I've never heard before, that, and it's just a blessing to hear those things come from your mouths when you think this many years and you think things have gone by and it was unappreciated, and it's or did it matter, did I really make a difference? So I'm just thankful that within the last, I'll say the last maybe a month, God has been bringing those people into my life, who say, like today in the conversation when somebody said, you know, you were there advocating for me, and I didn't even know you were there. And so those things are special. So I'm Geraldine Alshami. I am in Eastern North Carolina, from Wilson, North Carolina. I got involved. Always been a native Wilson, but basically, a little place called Lucama, and not a lot of people have heard of that place, but a little place called is where I stayed the longest. But anyway, I don't know. I call it social justice work. You know, as I began to experience so many injustices. First, trying to work in a nursing home where my elders were being abused because they um, had mental health issues. You know, and I put up a fight there, and after about 13 years, I was let go, and I fought the good fight because of what the clients was going through, not because somebody had did me some injustice, but because of what those clients were going through, and and I won, but uh, I'll say with the help of I, you know, we won the case, and it started to bring more attention to what was happening with people in nursing homes and state facilities, and how they were treated. So that was first time that I knew that I was a social justice worker.
Hmm.
That was
Yeah. And that term, even in itself, Miss Geraldine, social justice. And I heard this term yesterday, social environment. I think for me, I had found my way into society and forgot how important it was to know how to socialize. And so I've been working on my social skills, the humanity part of the person that I am. And that's why I was saying in the introduction, I had to get back to that. But Miss Geraldine, I'm finding a lot of people don't have that fundamental core upbringing. And so I appreciate you for reminding me of it. And if you don't mind, I'd like for you to share a little bit about how you are helping us to infuse those core values into the community. Because I know your organization, Mary Magdalene Ministries, is doing a lot of work around that in the community.
you mean our does we do you do you're right, we do a lot of work, but I think what you're referring to is the what we call our um, transformative and restorative family and community institute, and the institute is really based off and the fact that we have a lot of trauma. We have a lot of trauma, and mental health services are. I mean, they're out. You have to wait 6 months to get a counselor if you get one, and then you might have it 2 months or 2 months counselor or therapist. You might have her 2 months and she's gone, and then there's another one. So the quality of healthcare is the pits. We're continuously putting children on medications that have and people, even people on medications that have these serious side effects that tell you that this medicine can cause you to have suicidal thoughts. This medicine can cause you to, hallucinate. This medicine can cause, yet and still more and more we're being pushed towards taking psychotropic drugs. You know what I'm saying? And but we're seeing a lot of crime as a result of folk taking medication, the after effects of medication. Um, I don't even know where to start and where to end, sweetheart. I really don't, except to say that uh, we have to address the trauma, and what we use to address the trauma, we go back into the culture. We have walked away from so much of the culture that we're getting away from what we didn't like, and the culture never meant much to us, you know. And it didn't mean a lot to me until I went out New Jersey and started working with working criminal justice, and I realized they were doing some work they call restorative justice work.
Okay.
And restorative justice work was using circles to address uh, rather than punishment in the courts and then they started using it in the schools. And then 4 years or 5 years ago, I started using it in the community.
Mm.
Started using circle, the process of circle keeping.
And so you said you had done this in New Jersey, and
No,
now
no, no,
you
no, no. I said I was exposed to it again in New Jersey. I didn't do it. I
okay.
learned about it, but I grew up in it. I grew up with circles as an indigenous. My family was indigenous, so I grew up with circles. Knowing about circles, but I because sometimes we just when we don't talk about a part of our culture, it, it's just not there. And when I went out to New Jersey, it was brought back to me. Daggone, that's what we used to do. And they were using the process in the courtrooms. In the courtrooms at that time, I think that was I don't know 15, 20 years ago. They were using it in the courtrooms as an alternative to punishment.
Mm.
And so then I kind of worked here 10 years, and then there was a Cheryl Wilson from the university in it's not Oklahoma, but San Francisco. No, it's not San Francisco. It's anyway, she was from one of the universities out there, and she started a social justice program at the university. But we have worked together here, wanting to train people for years,
Mm-hmm.
and because she was a trainer, and but I lived it, so we wanted to do this work some years ago, but she couldn't get the finances to do it and whatever, But when she went out to um, God, whatever that city or state is way out there, she became part of the university, and she implemented a restorative center in the university, and they started a philanthropic fund for
Okay.
for people like me who were in the communities who wanted to do circle work, but we didn't have the resources to really get it done.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave us a $20,000 grant for 2 years to build to teach circles and to um, get that process from a community base.
Yeah.
To because what we want to do is we want to use that process in the community to give people that safe place to speak, where they feel comfortable, where that we can talk and where we can interconnect and we can build those relationships, and people feel safe enough that, um, we can talk about those things that were, whether they were generational
Hmm.
trauma, whether it was individual trauma, whether it was present day trauma, whatever your trauma is, we got to talk about it. And but most importantly, when we connect, we when we connect, we all feel stronger.
Yes.
We
Yes.
all feel stronger, and what, there's nothing that I can do to change you or anybody, but one thing what we can, in talking, um is healing. I won't go into
Yeah.
everything. There's healing. Yes, ma'am. Right there with you, Ladybug, over at Spirit House. Yes, ma'am. That's a sister who I've known for years. We know the power of arts in our community. We know the power of arts. We've been doing this for years and years and years, and I'm thankful to Nisi, that you are doing the work that you're doing to promote the arts in the community. Because you know, again, I mean, I just truly believe that if we don't develop the gifts and talents of our children, then we haven't developed that whole child. We know we've left them hanging in a way, and and it's so easy to do, so easy to do. So thank you for keep pushing. Thank you for keep pushing.
You
Sister
know,
Nia, yes, ma'am. Sister Nia runs Spirit House. Yes, she does. Know her very well.
yes.
As a matter of fact, I think Sister Nia may have gotten some circles. Been doing some work with circles. I'm not sure.
And where I just want the audience to know, Mark Lee, our producer, has a couple of things in the chat. So we're talking about Sister Nia Wilson, who runs Spirit House and has a
Mhm.
longtime friend, Alexis Pauline Gums. And what I love about this is my daughter's name is Nia. And Miss Geraldine, my ability to be creative is a gift. It is a gift. But when I see my daughter, I see something unique. And yesterday, you met Nia via FaceTime. Now let me tell you something, Miss Geraldine. I do love the arts. I'm a big personality that I never knew I was a big personality. I was just being me. Well, then I have this daughter, and Nia is, this is my child.
Yes.
But yesterday, when Nia got on that phone, she was excited because she did get her permit, but I couldn't talk to her because I was driving. And you took that phone as if you knew who Nia was. And Nia started laughing and kiki and the kind with you like she knew who you were. And I was sitting over there like, well, I'ma just pull over because I want to kiki and kaka with all of y'all in this. And so
That's
the
that.
connectivity.
Well, that's that piece that we talk about, that connection. That, and that's that healing. It's healing for all of us.
Yes.
And we're at a time right now where we're seeing so much violence in our community. We're seeing the loss of so many of our children, just on a continuous basis. At least it is for me. On a continuous basis over 47 years is daunting. It's daunting to your spirit. It's daunting to your heart. It's daunting to your mind. I mean, it is just so painful. It really is painful. And so um that's why I want to introduce circles to our community, because I want us to heal. I want us to be able to move outside of the pain that we're walking in. You know what I'm saying? Because we're such a
Yes.
powerful people. We're such a powerful people, but we're walking in so much pain till we're delirious. We're going to and fro and whatever, not centered, not balanced. You know what I'm saying? And for me, for to see our children literally just uh, destroyed, you know, not through no fault of their own. You know what I'm saying? It breaks my heart. Nisi. It breaks my heart, and I just feel like that. If I may, if I may, at this time, I under my name you see the word a call to action, and if I can do anything else, Nisi, on this call, I would like to call to action all the women, all of the women, all of the women. I don't care whether you're black, white, green, blue, purple, pink, yellow. I don't care. Women, if you think like a woman, you know, come on.
You know what? That is, wait a minute, Miss Geraldine. Is there a book out there called Think Like a Woman,
I
Act Like
don't
a
know, but
Woman?
they ought to be.
This call to action is going in the direction I knew it would go. Just sincere. It's just a real call to action,
Yeah,
Miss
I am
Geraldine.
serious. I am very
I
serious.
know you are. And and
I am.
I thank you.
Why? Because women are the power source in the world. We are
Yeah.
creators. We are creators, and if we're going to change, we're talking about changing communities and families. We're talking about changing overall culture just by changing the way we think, by the way we communicate with each other. We can do this. Yeah, we got to start all over, but we got to start all over anyway because we got these don't have these little long head technology babies.
Miss Geraldine, I didn't want to say anything when you said it to me earlier. You said, Nisi, they gonna have long hairs because they they keep looking at these computer
So
screens.
the brain's not gonna grow.
Yes,
The
when
brain's
you
not gonna grow. They just gonna go straight up.
Miss Geraldine, when you said it earlier, I wanted to put the phone on mute and just laugh because if we don't have a sense of humor in all of this work, it could become a little challenging. And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
that's what I've been enjoying about this week is I said this woman says she been doing this 47 years and she can still laugh. And I'm sitting up here angry and I just got started 20 years ago. And so I
Mark
said,
said that.
but
Look, Mark said there is a book called "Think Like a Woman."
Miss Geraldine, I did not get started 20 years ago. I got started more like 44 years ago with my grandparents. And so while I never looked at my upbringing as associated with the civil rights movement, right now I feel that same let's collaborate, let's bring these women together, let's learn from the generations that some of us did not have access to like I did.
You know what I think what I'm saying, regardless of how we have been, and I don't like to use the word raise because you raise chickens, hogs, cows, and windows. We don't raise human beings. We, they're trained or they're taught, but that we're not raised, and that's another cultural piece, and the programming with us to raise our children, not to train our children, not to teach our children. So that in that meaning, it falls away. Part of what we're supposed to do as parents falls away. Raise, you put them in the house. I put you in the house. I got some clothes on your back. You got food. I've been good to you. But what we don't think about is time, real
Mhm.
quality time spent with children, uh, the occasional "I love you," allowing them to really know them, to really know who they are. We got to heal ourselves before we can get to that point, because you can't give love if you ain't never had it. You can you can
Yeah.
you can pretend. You can do the action. You can do the act of it, but no. But what's to say what's really in our heart?
Yes.
The important thing is that your children believe you love them. you know,
Hmm.
but
Yes.
a lot of us didn't know love. We know we knew to take care of you, but we didn't know to love because we didn't have it.
Well, I tell you, Miss Geraldine, it's appreciated that you want to see us too. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Tim, I just had a quick question for Geraldine and all along those lines because I had mentioned a couple of folks. I'm sure that she's teamed up with Fruit of Labor and my
Oh,
good brother and Gaza Laughing House and a number of others that are there as well because I've done some work with them. But y'all were talking about women doing positive work, and there's a young lady here in Durham that actually does an event, and she's been a longtime friend of mine. She does the 28-day reinvention road trip. So if you are not familiar with Jess Everhart, you should become familiar with Jess Everhart because she does a
I
lot of
didn't
work around reinvention and is definitely a lady in her, I want to say, late 40s or early 50s because I know she's a little bit younger than I am, but she's definitely a former leadership person and was very much connected with American Tobacco and was even one of the people along with Cecily and Al that was part of the Art of Cool and the Black Wall Street that were the workshops that were going on before the pandemic and everything. So if you're not connected with her, I can definitely make that connection for you because she's very much in that space and has lived in Durham for a number of years after moving
Oh,
here, I
yeah.
believe, from St. Louis.
Yeah. All right. Mark, are you familiar with alternative roots in
I
out of
am familiar with
Georgia?
Alternative Roots. They've done some work with Hayti. They've done some work with my organizations that my mom is very much familiar with and all in that space. Because as I said, in addition to running the WVSP until she retired several years back, Valeria Lee is my mother, and she ran the
Oh,
Golden Lee Foundation for a number of
Valeria
years.
Lee is your mama.
Yeah,
Is
Valeria Lee is my mother.
no, Valeria Lee is not your mama.
Yeah, I just saw her on
No,
Thanksgiving. So yes,
Valeria Lee is not your mama.
yes, Valeria Lee is me and Malik Lee's mother. So my brother does a lot of work in youth justice
Oh,
work as well. Because Malik,
Lee.
yeah, Jim Lee is my dad.
Uh,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this on the air.
no, this
Valeria
is
Lee is your mama.
Yes, is my
so
mother.
close.
Yes, and I'm
Hold
sure
it,
I'm
hold
sure
it.
that you were good friends with the late Andrea Harris before she passed away, and that was one of Mom's associates as well. So I knew Andrea
From Rocky
before
Mount. You
she
talking
passed.
about Andrea from Rocky Mount?
Andrea that ran the Institute for Minority Economic Development.
Yes, 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 yes. Her and what's the other woman's name? She lived in Rocky Mount. What
Linda
was her
Gunn.
name?
Linda
No.
Gunn was part of that. Linda Gunn was part of that organization as well, and there were several others. But like I said, Mom was on the board for the North Carolina Rural Center for a number of years.
OMG.
I
I knew your
surprised.
mom
We
from
just
way back,
thanks
way
for coming
back
on,
in my
Mark.
20s.
No
In my
problem.
20s. I'm 70 now. She in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Like
Look
I
at
said,
that. Look at that. I can't believe
like I said,
it. I cannot believe it.
yeah, Dad is very much, speaking of the arts, Dad is very much active in the arts. You can go to bambooturtle.com and see some of his work. But yeah, Dad is in his early 80s at 83.
What was
And
your dad? What was your dad's name?
Jim Lee.
Jim Lee. I don't
Yeah.
remember him, but I remember
Yeah.
I remember you the mom really
Yeah.
well. Matter of fact, in Mississippi, down at the Leroy Jackson's place,
Mhm.
down in Mississippi, that's where I used to see your mom a lot when we had the gatherings down there. And
Yeah. She would
she
go.
doing some powerful work around the school to prison pipeline
Mhm.
around some suspension at one time, and we connected down in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah, yeah, she's done some work down that way and definitely around the world. Was definitely involved in a number of nonprofits, and like I said, she's enjoying retirement. So I saw her along with my two
Wow.
nephews, since I don't have any kids of my own, but my two nephews, my younger brother, who's involved in work with at-risk youth, even though both he and I don't necessarily like that term, and he's also part of a car club called the Slingshot Club or the Bull City Slingers. So he is part of
Oh
that, and
my
they've
gosh.
done a lot of work
Oh my
with
gosh.
everything from MS advocacy to a number of other advocacy spaces as well. So
It
definitely,
runs deep in your veins.
oh yes,
Um,
it goes way back.
way
Grandma on
back.
dad's side was the founder of the, which Nisi knows, was the founder of the Richard B. Harrison Library that's there in Raleigh, and the biology building at Central is still named after granddad. So it goes in. The roots run deep.
Run deep. I told you, I knew her in my 20s,
Mm-hmm.
in my 20s, And then there was another woman. Good God, I have not thought about her them in years, 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 years.
Well, we still have the quilt circle, which meets at Hayti and along those spaces. And one of the women in the quilt circle is Jerry Ann King, who was part of that crowd as well. And she did some work in the literacy world with the Literacy Center and a number of other things. But she's still very active as a quilter and still active in some of the farm work that's going on in Warren County and
In
other
Warren
things.
County. Oh, I was a part
So,
of that too. That's why I rode on the back of a truck with Angela Davis down in Warren County,
oh wow,
doing work around
was
the hot farms.
mm-hmm. And I'm sure that you probably did work, and I'll let Nisi come back and
I'm so
continue the
sorry. I'm
interview.
so
But
sorry. We done got carried away.
I'm sure that you also did work around
It's
the
relevant. It's
around
relevant.
PCB and around the
Yes.
whole the stuff of that dump when that took place.
Yeah,
That
with
was
we actually in Wilson County when they get ready to build that 6-lane highway through
mhm.
Wilson County to put that thing where they burn all the dump. I led a little coup down there, led a little coup down there, and we finally got it stopped at the last minute. Cost them a lot of money. I think they opened it back up, but for a long time they couldn't open it up because it cost them a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Cost them a lot of money. So yeah, been that long time. Oh my God, that's so awesome to me. I tell your mother that Geraldine Blackston
Uh-huh.
Ramos said hello.
I would definitely do that. I talked to mom.
Geraldine Blacks, because I don't know which one I was when I knew.
Right.
So Geraldine Blackston Ramos
I
from
would
down in
definitely
Wilson. From down in Wilson.
I would definitely let her know we talk at least 3 or 4 times a week. So I'll probably call her. It's too late now, but I'll probably be calling her later on tomorrow or no later than Tuesday. But yeah, we talk 3 or 4 times a week.
I am so glad to know that you have blew my mind. That you send her my love and blessings, please.
I would definitely do that.
Thank you. Hey,
Miss
Nisa, I'm sorry I got carried away.
Geraldine, that's why the show is called Dreamstock.
I
This
cannot
is
believe that. Oh my God! Oh my God! It's been so long ago. Some things you don't remember. You know what I'm saying? But he just brought back a lot of memories.
Miss Geraldine. Yesterday, someone looked at me. They said, "I know that ain't who I think it is." I said, "Yes, it is who you think it is." And you didn't bat an eye. You didn't say, "How do y'all know each other?" You didn't say, "Well, I couldn't imagine y'all hanging out." You just knew I knew this person, right?
Yeah.
So that's what that just felt like to me. Like it didn't matter that it was on my show. This is not my show. This we own all of this. This
I'm
ours.
so sorry, but I couldn't help it.
This is
That one threw me. That one threw
But
me.
remember when I told you earlier today, I said, Miss Geraldine, you're saying we won't have a present. We need I said, well, I like to give gifts. I didn't know that you were talking about right now. I know you're talking about right now, but I love surprising people. And so when you were surprised, you were making me happy. I didn't feel like this was a hostile takeover at all. I felt like, aha, Miss Geraldine.
Well, it just connected me back to some of the work from so long ago. I told you it's been 47 years, and so I mean, our children were young when I knew his mother. Our children were young when I knew his mom. Our children were young, and to see her son here with a full beard face, oh my God! So it made me realize how old my butt was.
But Miss Geraldine, you know, the call to women, I love Shanice. I've said it on several of these shows. Oh, I love Shanice. You know, that would be disrespectful, I feel, to God if I did not love me as much as I love other people. And something that you said, Nisi, I couldn't have done this work without support. You told me that earlier. And I said, well, Miss Geraldine, I must be projecting onto you because I don't always feel I have support. And to hear you literally said you've seen this woman out of state advocating in Mississippi. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. When you started telling that story, I expected Mark to be like, "Nah, it's not my mom." He was like, "Yeah, she's been down there."
I know she was, because we were down in Jackson, Mississippi at the I can't think of the name of Southern Echo. Southern Echo, that was the name of the organization. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so you're out of state, and all we want to do is have a call to women right here.
Well,
And we welcome, because we're virtual, people to come into this in some capacity. That's why this talk show was important to me. So to hear this is 40 some years of work and someone's child, their legacy, as my friend Maxine Phillips says, you just made my night. You know, what's the purpose of knowing a lot of people, like you said, if there's no connection? So I thank you for helping me find my space. You said to me today, you said, "Niece, do people really know how much you love the work you do?" And I was like, "Mm." And what has to happen is more of us have to know about the work, Miss Geraldine. I feel that this is the beginning of not just a call to action, but a call to learn.
yeah,
I'm excited
yeah.
knowing that this is what I have to look forward to. Um, like I said, we were talking about how excited I was for my daughter to have this interaction with you. And here, I almost feel like karma came back to you. Like, now, here's a baby to surprise you because you surprised Niecy.
That's
And
been
that's what
happening a
you
lot.
pouring in. You pouring in good stuff and you get good stuff back, Miss Geraldine.
Yeah, his mom was an awesome woman. She was an awesome. She also ran a foundation. Was a part of one of the foundations that I was funded through. She either ran. She either ran the foundation or she one of them. But anyway, she was. I think she was part of the either the Babcock Foundation or the or
Excuse
maybe
me
it was
again. It was probably Z. Smith Reynolds because she
D.
was at
Smith
Z. Smith
Reynolds.
Reynolds
D. Smith Reynolds.
before she left to work and was the first director of the Golden Leaf Foundation. If I'm not
Yeah, yeah, that's
mistaken.
what it was. Yep, yep,
And
yep,
she was
yep.
also on the board for the Rural Center. And like I said,
Mhm.
she's enjoying retirement, but is still very active there in Rocky Mountain in the
Yeah,
sense of being part of that community.
I remember that. I remember because I, and how this goes back to this work, Nisi, is that when I first started doing this work, it was the Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation, and that's how I know your mom, Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation, that funded the work.
Mhm.
They funded me for a long time, for a long period of time. My work at that time was to, like I said, it was active research to understand why there were so many black and brown, particularly at that time, they were black children, black boys on the streets when they should have been in school. I couldn't
Mm,
understand it, and it was just a lot of them, and they were just congregating and whatever, you know what I'm saying? Why is all these kids on the streets? And so, I went and I talked to them and I asked, why are you on the streets? And when they were saying, some said, who know? I mean, it was obvious that they wanted to be in school, but they won't go fight it. You know what I'm saying? Because now
yeah.
they are starting to gang up on the streets. You know what I'm saying? And some grown man is going to introduce them to selling the drugs. You know what I'm saying? Some grown man going to introduce them to selling drugs. And so after I found out that they were being suspended from school, and then I go to the parents' houses, and the parents didn't even know, they hadn't even had a letter of suspension. Hadn't even had a letter of suspension. We adopted, our county adopted the student standard promotions, which is the state requirements for uh, academic success, and we implemented before anybody down in the county I was in, and they used that lie that the policy had already been implemented, and bamboozled the even the board members down there. and they started holding children back. If they did not pass the grade test the first time, I think they should take it the second time. Then they would hold them back. And so we had kids who were as old as 16 years old in seventh grade, sixth or
Mm.
seventh grade. I mean, it was horrible. It was that's how I first coined the homeschool prison cycle. And Z. Smith Reynolds funded me to be able to do that work, and just the active research to understand that uh, there were many. There's a lot to why those boys was being pushed out of school. One, it was about testing. It was about making sure that if, that the schools were going to get the money they were supposed to get, and that their test scores was where they were supposed to be, so they get the money that they supposed to get. And then they tied testing to teaching. If the teacher didn't, if the students didn't pass the integrate test, then the teacher's salary was taken. So, do you understand what kind
Mm.
of what
Miss
that brought on
Geraldine,
kids?
as we talk about this, when when would you say learning style started becoming a conversation
A conversation where
in policy, in uh school systems? Because I hear about it now, as I'm only
that's the
now learning
problem.
about my learning style.
That's the problem, Nisi. Uh, as we switch our curriculum, people are not common core is about rote memory. It's about memory.
Hmm.
When you change the learning style of the way teachers can teach, because teachers have to be able to use a diverse way of teaching, because you got a diverse number of students and diverse students. But when you got to follow a curriculum, you got to follow a curriculum, and you got all this other stuff. Teachers don't have time to do all that. They don't have time to teach. Then they don't have time for all of these disruptions in the classroom. You know what I'm saying? So uh, the quality of the education, is decreased
It
because they can't
is.
teach, because they can't teach. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so then things get out of hand because kids are bored. A lot of kids, what we found out with our active research was that a lot of children, and with programs that we did, kids that was making ones and twos, we took them and we took 44 of them, and we looked at their learning styles because I understood that we all learn differently. And those kids, within 6 weeks, we had those kids was making as much as fives on the test, and they didn't even know you could make a freaking five.
It makes a difference. Learning style makes a difference. And I
Yes,
realized it
ma'am.
when my little boy, he came to me and he said, "Hey, mommy, what so in all my ex-friends, I call him Bobby Brown. He said, "Mommy, what's Mr. Bobby teach?" I said, "Science and math." He said, "Well, can you call him? I understand how to do division, but I don't understand this strategy." And what my baby was telling me was a few things, Miss Geraldine. The first thing was, "Mommy, you don't understand math at all, so I don't even want you to help me." Number two, "I would like to talk to an expert in talking to young black men." Number three, "I heard that Mr. Bobby is an educator. Mr. Bobby knows how to talk to me. And Mr. Bobby may be able to help me to understand this strategy because while I love you and my teacher, neither one of y'all can get through to me." And I was like, "Well, Shanice, let's take the time out and see what really has happened here. One, we have black men in the classroom. I gotta celebrate that. And that right there, that my child literally in 2023 knew a black teacher. So by connecting, I'm feeling like, wow, you know what? I may be able to find other people that can help my child because he's telling me he's not getting everything that he needs to catch this lesson in the classroom. The next thing I had to accept is that, again, not all students are aware what the disconnect is and why they're not getting it.
Can we put a pin right there, because I want it goes back to some of the work, the work that I'm doing right now, and when I speak in terms of internalized race suppression, and I'm talking about those children who don't have what your son had. I'm
Yeah.
I'm talking about those children.
Yes.
What happens too often is the folk who look like them are the ones that cause the most harm,
Explain that, Miss Geraldine.
because of what I explained to you, the Queen's rule. And as a black person, a lot of times we think that oh, it's so good, so many black people in leadership. No, it's a setup. It's a setup, because see what happens is when we look at who's suspending children, mostly who's suspending children, it's often a black teacher,
Mm.
and they're suspending the child for a longer period of time than what they were spend suspended. See, they're the culprits. We look at it as it's the white folks that's the culprit, but no, it's really us. It's really us who suspend them for longer periods of time, more often, da 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 da, because of our own stuff that we got. Because you're embarrassing me. We've been sold down the river by black folks for a very long time, and we don't need to forget that. You're so right, Mr. Mark.
Let
We've
me
been sold
get
down.
that comment. We got sold down the river by some of our own during the Black Wall Streets.
We've been sold down the Mississippi spies. Mississippi spies were folks who infiltrated NAACP in Georgia. Uh, they took more than 15,000 documents and turned it over to the Ku Klux Klan. Black folks. When we are confined by policies and procedures that were set up by folk who were racist, and we put folk who look like us in places of position where you got to carry out that position. And you know, if you don't suspend, if you don't punish them, if it don't look like you punishing, you know, I'll come at you and say, uh, is it because the child is black? But at the same time, you're, if it's white leadership, white folks are doing it all the time.
It's interesting you should say that. I asked someone recently, why did they leave administration? And they said that they can make a bigger impact in the classroom. But I believe that you're right. There was also that additional pressure um, to kind of do what other counterparts were doing. But what I appreciate is, Miss Geraldine, I'm really hearing about a lot of mothers who are saying, no, we want to be there to
Mm.
advocate for our kids, but then they don't have the
Mm.
like you said about me, like I can walk into a schoolhouse and they're gonna know who Niecy is because I've been in the community. So that mother that says, you know what, no, I'm not gonna let you just talk to me any kind of way. I started going to the school with
It,
that mother.
it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. We have to be in that system to change systems.
Talk to us about that, Miss Geraldine, because that's where we're
because
all new to this.
because systems are that black person that's in that position. See, he's got to do what he's got to do because the law says he got to do it. But he don't have, because he don't have nobody, none of us out there in the audience saying you did the right thing. You did the right thing. You know, to support him when they start talking about firing him. We're not coming together. So he ain't gonna take that chance. He or she not gonna take that chance because we're not there. We want people to do things when they're in these positions, but we, you know, it's like um pushing somebody out on a limb. Yeah, they wrong. Yeah, they wrong. Yeah, they do this and they do that. Yeah, they wrong, and you get them all hyped up and they run out there on the limb and they go to screaming and yelling. Next thing they look back, ain't nobody out there with them.
Yes. And so, Miss Geraldine, as
That's
we
the call
start
to
to bring,
action.
as
That
we
is the
start to
call to
bring
action.
women together, I'm glad to hear we want to stand behind what's right for
Our
people.
children, for people,
Yes,
and
and
particularly our children,
the
particularly our children.
children. We want to stand behind what's right for the children, and I think I opened with saying, um, my mindset is do it with the children in mind. Like, think about how does this affect the kids 50 years from now, Shanice?
How does it affect them 5 years from now? Because 5 years from now, you're talking about the possibility. Look at the boy, 14 years old. 5 years from now, he'll be serving. He'll either still be in jail waiting a sentencing, or he will have already been sentenced. And the both, hopefully that's not the case. But he could be sentenced for the majority of his life to be spent in prison. So they are, it's already. That's what I mean when I say we don't want this for our children. We don't want this homeschool prison cycle to continue for our children. That's the call to action. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. Let's stop this vicious homeschool prison cycle that's going on with our kids. We can stop this, but
Hey,
it's going to take.
Geraldine, sorry to jump in again and everything, but do you sometimes, that's what I was alluding to earlier, get frustrated by some of those folks that claim that they are supporting you and supporting the cause, but they are in it for their own wealth? Because I can tell
All
you,
the time.
oh,
All the time.
I
I'm
know,
so sick of them. I don't know what in the world to do. I don't call them poverty pimps. Don't they
yeah,
poverty pimps?
yeah.
I tell you ride the glory chain, and it doesn't matter what color they are.
No, that we got some of our own. The one,
You,
yeah, Geraldine,
they
one
are the
thing
worst.
well, I remember when I first went into journalism, I worked for the Carolinian. I enjoyed part of that job, and definitely it is still around the newspaper there in Raleigh and everything. But my first daily newspaper was actually down in Boca Raton, Florida, and there was a African American gentleman there, and I can tell you he threw more roadblocks to me and the Hispanic woman than I have ever seen anybody else throw roadblocks, because he liked being the big fish in the small pond, and he didn't want the competition and all in that space. So that's what we see, is that sometimes folks like being that big fish in the small pond, and they will throw tons of
They
roadblocks
will
on
try
you.
to listen, brother. I told Nisi I was born during the time of all this Black Power and the Black love. I was maybe like 10 years old, and I absorbed all of that. That's how I know the power of the arts, the power of music, and what it teaches us. And I was just all into the movement. It's your thing. Don't do what you want to do. That made us want to be wild and buck wild. Because we constantly heard that music. That new freedom. Our dresses were coming from under our knees to over our knees. The miniskirt was it was there. The big clog shoes and the afro. We were coming into ourselves. You know, and I believed every bit of that. I believed I sucked it up like these babies are sucking up hip hop right now. I believed every bit of that. They're fascinated by the cars and the whatever, and you can get this if you can rap well enough. You know what I'm saying? I believe that Black folks had all of this love for each other. Oh, I believe that thing. I believed it deep down in here. And when I began this work, and people will say to me, um, I went to see the priest of the Episcopal Church the other day. We talked about how those 13 Black members of the church told the parents, because I was in a community that was 87% illiterate. It was 90% drug infested. The violence was high rate of violence, and I was in that community doing programs, and the priest allowed me to do it right in a little Episcopal church that didn't look like nobody was in. I went in and I brought those people in there. Let me tell you something. Them the meanest Black folks I ever seen in my life. The meanest Black people I ever seen in my life.
Expecting that.
In
Was
my
not
life, they told the parents, we don't want you here. We don't want your children here. They told every lie that they could tell on me. The priest and I just sat back about 2 weeks ago and talked about about this. And then he told me that the main heifer the mean heifer that was the vestry person, the mean heifer. Now she's sitting up at some high position in the Episcopal Church. Y'all
Wow.
were mean as hell to them children.
No, I hear what you're saying because a friend of mine was actually, fortunately, he just recently moved to Raleigh and everything, but he was trying to get his housing situation situated, and he went to a number of churches asking them for help in that housing predicament, and pretty much all of them to get turned him away or gave him a blind eye or gave him some lip service because there's a famous blues song that I used to play all the time. Nisi, you'll love it. It's called "Lip Service and Lies." And I think a lot of people are practicing those lip service and lies.
Mark, you are so right. You are so right. I was telling Nisa I did a, a training for Wake County Human Services and the county officials on internalized race oppression and hypocrisy in the culture of organizations. Hypocrisy meaning you have a mission and and a mission statement that you're this and this and this and this and this. You know, that's your brand, Missy.
Right.
Your mission statement, that's your brand.
Mhm.
And then you're under your mission statement, you got these values that you say you run by, but your actions are entirely different.
Completely different, Miss Geraldine. It's happening.
Entirely different from
It's
what,
happening.
and that's hypocrisy. That's
I
what's
hate
called
this.
that's what's called hypocrisy in the culture of organizations.
I hate to say it, and then I'll let y'all go back to the conversation. Y'all can go as long as y'all want to and everything, but we see a lot of that in the arts community as well, because there are a lot of people that will give you a lot of message about what they will want to do, but then when you try to get them to actually come to action and to do the actual activities, even raising our kids culturally, they sometimes are absent, and I'll just leave it at that. So yes, even in the cultural organizations, unfortunately, as well.
I
And smart.
Sally B. Howard School.
Yes, I do. Actually, I did a one of the things that I've done in the past, and we'll actually do one in Reedsville a week from today. By the way, we have to record your show, Nisi, and everything because I've been doing with Captain Newborn and Sally B. Howard School was one of the places that we took the road to the Apollo to. We did that about 2 or 3 years ago. We're going to Reedsville and the Reedsville High School, but we've also gone to Henderson with my friend Captain Newborn and Ray Pasco and Nice Burris, who's there in Raleigh in his Ace of Hearts band, and a number of other folks. But it's a veterans advocacy call is what the real purpose of that particular event is, because Captain Newborn, even though ironically that's his first name, even though he's never served any military rank ever in his life, his parents just decided they wanted to name him Captain and all in that space. But he's still
Okay.
a veteran advocate, and he's been doing this. I think we've been doing it about 10 years. So, but Sally B. Howard was one of the schools that we performed at, and they did an amazing job. There was, I think, so a couple of young ladies did Hamilton, and they did Hamilton better than the actual Hamilton. So they did a great job. So yeah, I'm very familiar with that school.
Let me give you a little history about that school.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Uh, Miss Sally B. Howard
Mm-hmm.
was an elder who had lived in Kenya for many years. And when she came back to Wilson, she came back with one goal in mind, and that was that we were going to begin to teach our children from a cultural perspective, that they needed the culture to thrive. And when she came back, she had written a lot of books. You know, she had taken songs that were aligned with our curriculum. You know, the curriculum that they were using at the time here in the states. In and she aligned those little books with that, but she did them in Kiswahili.
Okay.
Everything was done in Kiswahili. I mean, everything was about the arts. And so, and I was telling you about this today. There was there was two portions. There was two divisions of her teachings, not the different teachings, but to different children. And I taught the children in the projects.
Mm-hmm.
I taught the poor and the marginalized children, and Joanne taught the more wealthy children. And so it became a school. It left from, it used to be called the something enrichment. It started with a P. Uh, Something enrichment program. There were enrichment programs. And like I said, we took the same curriculum and did them in both places using the arts. I used the arts, like West African drumming. We would use for math. We would use cowrie shells for and or counting and money, and we would do math competitions where we because we knew that the basic problem for them was they didn't know the multiplication, so we would set up competitions for them to learn who could go farthest in their multiplications, and then we would pay them with cowrie shells as currency. And so we had a store that they could go in and take their cowrie shells and go and purchase from the store any Afrocentric project. With it might have been some things from Jamaica, it might have been some things from the Ivory Coast, it might have been some things from Ghana because I was a vendor and I was vending art from different places over the world. And so they were just they thrived so. Man, they thrived, and I was telling Nisi how running the program in the projects, the person who was over the housing authority, he won best program child development program under the Department of HUD for our program for our programs for my program.
Wow.
But then when he got mad, Miss Sally B. Howard's program that I was doing there, because that's whose program it really was. And then when he got mad because that was during time when the flood came, and I had to tell on him up in DC that he won't doing right. He got mad and tried to destroy the program.
Wow.
Black man threw 400 books away.
400 books. Wow.
400 books away. Locked the door. The church, the Episcopal Church, they locked the door on the children too. So I don't do the black church because I know that they have caused so much harm. They have caused just as much harm as the master has, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Unless we deal with internalized racial oppression, we need to stop talking about equity. We need to stop talking about equity. If we're not going to deal with internalized race oppression, don't because
and thank you for it. That is something that for me, Miss Geraldine, I'm a big personality now, and I've had to find where do I support, where is my voice. And in the knowledge of understanding systems, I know that I have to become more knowledgeable, because if I don't understand this, then the work will almost undo itself, because there aren't enough of us who understand what you just said about the whole system before we can talk about equity. So as we bring people together, and I love that you said, no, this isn't about bringing Black women together. This is about bringing women together. There's an African proverb, a prayer that I wrote, a poem. In the beginning, it says, you teach a man, you teach a person. You teach a woman, you teach a family. And so on that note, Miss Geraldine, Mark, y'all surprised me on our show. This is what I envisioned Dreamstock would be like. I never knew I would be blessed with a producer that grew up with my guest tonight.
No, I grew up. No, his mama.
Grew up knowing my mom and
his mama.
knew about some of the things I was doing, including the radio station, because I think there's about a few year gap and everything. I don't know yet if you know them yet, but I was looking them up and all in that space. I think that you should definitely be connected, if you're not, to Mama Noni, who does the Saint Sia Academy. So if you're not tapped into them, that's a Afrocentric school that is here in Durham.
Yeah, is she in Durham? Is she in Durham?
She's in Durham. She's in Durham.
I know. I know who you're talking about.
Part of Kwanzaa, and they do a lot with the Kwanzaa celebration and everything. Yeah. Before I get out of here and let y'all close it out, as I know Nisi was doing and everything, I did have one quick question to you based on something that Nisi just said, and that's something that I think we also have to be cautious of as well, because we need to develop allyships, but not every ally is a real ally, and you know that as well as I do, and everything. Because some of those people that claim to be allies, even from other communities, be they Asian or European or some of the other allies, are sometimes exploiting us, and I'll just put it that way. So you do have to
You
be
know,
cautious with the allyships.
you know, the reason I want to bring people together, and you're exactly right. The one thing that I know for sure, we can sit up and talk about this person's children are bad, and this person's child is bad, and this person's child is bad, and this one. What I do know is that all our thing, all of us got in common. You can live the queen's lie all you want to, because the queen's lie is everything is wonderful. Oh, Johnny went out to college and he's doing great. He's awesome. You know. Oh, and the king, he's so wonderful. He loves me so much. King got 13 babies on the outside.
Yeah.
The house tore up from the floor up, and
Yeah.
we constantly living a lie. We constantly living that lie. But see, we're gonna break down those barriers.
Yeah.
We have to.
We're gonna break them down. All of our children are suffering.
Yeah.
All of
All
our
the
children are on the pipeline.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter which pipeline, because like I said, it doesn't matter whether you're hooked on crack if you're in our community, or hooked on uh
Opiums,
fentanyl if you're in another
opiums in
community.
yours, in yours. They hooked.
Yes, they
Okay,
hooked.
come on.
Yeah.
We gonna. The word is interconnect, Nisi.
Yeah.
The word is interconnect. Listen, I can't change nobody's mind, but I know for a fact that when we connect with each other,
Yes.
that when we interconnect, we grow.
We really do.
We are a powerful source. But
We
we got to
really
get.
do. Well, Miss Geraldine, I am just again humbled to be able to spend time with you. I will tell the audience. I can tell I very seldom say I was telling somebody, I said the only time I say is when I don't know what I want to say. And I'm at a loss of words when I think about how blessed I am to have a woman like you. Think you've made created time for me, Miss Geraldine, and it is so appreciated, and I'm looking forward to what we're building. Thank you for this call to action to women in 2019, Miss Geraldine. I prayed, I asked God, I said, please send strong women into my life. Here we are approaching, like you said, 5 years later, coming into 2024. And your call to action, I feel like I have been literally working on it for 5 years. And the women that you have met, the men that, we introduced you to Brother Bone earlier today, and this is you get to see me now. Miss Geraldine, he kept saying, oh, she's so wise. And I told you, I said, he stayed on the phone. He was up there talking to you. I was supposed to be talking to you.
Listen, this is it's as I told you, Nisi, my truly my role in the community at this point of my life is the griot. Is to be the community griot, to tell the stories that help us connect. Lots of people want, they want, oh, could you give me an outline of this? And and I just had to tell a woman some years ago, that's not me. I don't work like that. I might can give it to you after a while if the Lord finished with me. I might can give it to you, but that's not how I can't do that for you right now. You know, we all have a ministry. We all have a ministry. This is my call. We all of us have a ministry. Every woman, and I'm talking to women right now, because if the women come, the men will follow.
Mm.
If the women come, the men will follow. But we want women that's going to come with serious intention of wanting to make a change for the future of our children. Because I've said to you all day long, you cannot have a future with children that's going to be this and that in the future if you're not giving them what they need right now in the present. You can't. You can't. These children need people that look like them, that's a voice for them in the community. They need to know that you care. They don't think you care. When we interviewed the children past Saturday, they said you need somebody to, and I've heard it over and over again. You can't. You need somebody to talk to because you can't talk to your family at home.
Yes. Ms. Geraldine, thank you for creating safe spaces in our community, especially during this time. And I look forward to supporting you. And I am learning, and it's, very interesting, big personality, but I'm just now embracing my own gifts. And I appreciate you for you not nudging me. Miss Geraldine, I think you kicked me all the way
Oh
out
my
the
God.
feel like I'm flying a little bit. I see.
My God, have mercy. Well, I'm glad it was a kick of life. I'm glad it won't want to do harm.
I said, woo. Y'all, this is not my last conversation with Miss Geraldine. Miss Geraldine has an open invitation to come on the show like Barbara Walters did on The View. She just popped right up in there. I appreciate you so much, and we shall be honoring you publicly very soon, the weekend of December 15th, as we start to really embrace those who are answering this call that you have it's out there in the atmosphere. And I want to just
Well, tell them how to reach you, Miss Nikki, Miss Nisi, for that event, because anybody that we did a call to action, but we didn't tell them what to do, what or whatever. So
Yes, so there's a little bit of a process. We're first going to establish an event, and it is happening again the weekend of December 15th. People will be able to see that event on the Yearbook Raleigh Instagram page, yearbook underscore Raleigh, on Facebook, Yearbook Raleigh. They can also see it on my personal page, which Shawnee's Cradle. I have my maiden name on there. I'm so excited. I'm umming, I'm on. I'm so this is, and that's how I know. I said tonight, Chinese, you're really gonna see who you are. When I look back at this podcast is the baseline, and it feels really, really good. Thank you for again. Miss Geraldine, I do things I don't tell anybody. They said, Chinese, why don't you tell us when you dance? I said, I don't take my friends to work. So I am. Oh, I actually officially started calling people today as well. So Miss Geraldine, I tell you, you snuck that in there, and I love it. I like it. Iron does sharpen iron, and it doesn't hurt, baby. It feels like fireworks. Well,
fan the
Miss
flame, girl. Let
Geraldine,
me fan the flame.
we gonna jump in the lake.
Hey, it's all right. As long as there's somebody there to help get me out.
Yes, Miss Geraldine, thank you for being with us tonight.
Yes,
Mark will
ma'am.
be taking you off camera. I'm gonna call you after the show, and I'll close us out. I appreciate you, and I have answered the call.
All right. And I want to say thank you to Mark, and thank you, Miss. I can't get used to saying Shanice because it's been Nisi. So
Oh,
thank
look, and
you,
that's what's
Shanice.
cool. You have permission to call me. You even have permission to call me niece.
All
You
right.
have a lot of permissions around here.
Well, thank you, ma'am. It is an honor. Really, it was an honor to be on your show tonight. Um, Thank you to the listening audience and those of you who tune in. And we hope to see you on the week of the 15th. So you're
Yeah,
gonna have to tune in again to find out where that's gonna be, where it's gonna be.
yeah.
All right. Peace and
All
blessings,
right.
everybody.
Thank you, Miss Geraldine.
Bye, baby. Y'all have a
Bye.
good one. All right. Bye bye.
Thank you for tuning in tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed having a civic leader icon on the show. I am really excited to be a part of the Pod TV family. I want to thank our friends, Mark, Nick, Kim for allowing me this opportunity to share what's happening in my city. Y'all know how much I love Raleigh, and just being a North Carolina girl. This call to action is important, it is serious, and it is for our children. And so I look forward to reporting more about what is to come. Have a great night. Take us out, Mark.
If you're watching this with your friends,
you'll probably make a joke.
Because you know what you feel on the inside
isn't what you want people to know.
If you have to pretend to be happy,
find someone you trust and tell them.
If you get mad at things and you don't know why, or have thoughts about hurting yourself,
find someone you trust and tell them.
You are never alone when you share.
Seriously, people care about you.
It's okay to not understand what you're feeling.
And it's easy to think that you're all alone.
But you don't have to be.
You're never alone when you share.
Don't be ashamed to tell someone you trust what you're feeling.
You're not alone.
You are not alone.
Find someone you trust and tell them.
Tell a parent.
Tell a teacher. Tell a brother or sister.
Or just tell a friend.
You haven't done anything wrong.
Talk to someone.
Talk to someone.
It's how things get better.
Are you ready? We're talking about the much-anticipated Road to New York National Talent Competition Tour, December 10th at 6 p.m. at the Reidsville High School Auditorium. Brace yourselves for a spectacle of talent, passion, and spirit that is about to take center stage. A show that's set to redefine the meaning of talent, musical tribute to Patti LaBelle and Luther Vandross. Special recognition and award to the legacy of Reidsville football. Special guest, the Jubilant Gospel Singers. And the cast that makes it all happen, the Sandman, the band, the model Deja, Mark Lee TV show host, and Captain Newborn senior producer. Imagine a stage where dreams meet reality, where passion meets performance, and where talent meets opportunity. The Road to New York National Talent Competition Tour to the Apollo. Come out, support and applaud those who dare to dream, encourage the performers who step out of their comfort zones, who embrace their passions, who aren't afraid to show the world what they've got. That's what the Road to New York is all about. The stage is set, the performers are ready, and the countdown has begun. The Road to New York is here. Sunday, December 10th at 6 p.m. at the Reidsville High School Auditorium. Meet the contestants, Skylar Mosley, Tiffany Williams, James Wilson, Christian Hampton, Jada Galloway, Haley Stedman, Haley Dale, Karen Tucker, Jaden Fountain, Elijah Simpson, Andrea Lohman, Cassandra Colmay, Sarita Clay, Rachel Haddock, Damarco Richardson, Patrick Hutchins, Byron Poindexter, and Maya Ann Lees Goslin. Special thanks to all our sponsors: Next Level Veterans, Eden's Own Journal, the City of Reidsville, North Carolina, Reidsville Chamber of Commerce, Pelham Transportation Corporation, Best in Show, Eden Chamber of Commerce, Rockingham County Economic Development, Small Business and Tourism, and the Cutting Room Barber Shop, City of Eden and Rockingham Community College. The Road to New York National Competition Tour has arrived, so buckle up and get ready for a ride of a lifetime. Sunday, December 10th at 6 p.m. at the Reidsville High School Auditorium. Admission, adults $20, students $15. It's an event that promises to leave you inspired. See you there.
Despiértate.
Despiértate.
It's time to wake up.
As of the last census, Latins and Hispanics make up almost 20% of the U.S. population.
Yet when it comes to the entertainment industry, it seems the powers that be are fast asleep to America's largest growing minority.
We make up only 5.3% of roles on television and 4.6% of roles in movies.
And that's not even the worst of it.
Broadway and the theater community are in a deep, deep sleep.
As of the last AAPAC visibility report, only 4.5% of performers on Broadway were Latin or Hispanic.
In fact, the talent pool itself has hardly any signs of us, as out of almost 51,000 active members of Equity, we only make up 2.5%.
If you're wondering why you don't see us represented on stage, it's because in most cases, we're not. Here's the reality of where things stand.
What percentage of us did you see in a featured role in a play? 4.4%. In a lead role?
3.4%.
When it comes to Broadway musicals, we made up 2.9% of featured roles. Lead roles in a musical?
0.
0.
How many Latin or Hispanic directors on Broadway? 1. No, not 1%, just 1.
How many newly represented Latin or Hispanic writers? 0.
0.
How many Latin or Hispanic designers? 0.
0.
And if there is something that is true about our glorious culture,
Mi recuerdo más bonito de mi infancia.
For me and my family.
Una de mis tradiciones.
Eran las posadas. Nos poníamos de acuerdo cada cuadra. Llevábamos a la calle
Storytelling is what we do best.
But we need a platform and stages to tell these stories on.
And on those stages, the audiences will find themselves in the details and the universality of our storytelling.
Get to know us. Get to know the new voices. Get to know our names. Get to know the creativity and skills we offer.
Get to know the talent that doesn't usually get seen by hiring us to empower and uplift underrepresented communities and bring them into the rooms.
Get to know the words we can create that will transport you, leaving you with stories that will live forever inside you.
Let us shine. Let us shine in every sector of this business that we've all dedicated our lives to.
Let the woeful percentages of Latin and Hispanic theatrical employment we've shined a light on be a mistake of the past.
Dear Broadway and American theater,
let it begin with you.
Let it begin with you.
Let it begin with you.
We've been asleep for far too long.
It's time to wake up.
It's happening again. The signs. Your mind's not yours. It's been taken over. And you're doing it again. When stress takes over, it takes over everything. Your mind, your body, your life. It's important to recognize the signs of stress before it takes over. Find tools to help you address your stress.